Men, picture this. You're sitting across from her at the kitchen table. The silence is heavy, like a storm building in the distance. She fidgets with her phone, her eyes darting away from yours. Finally, she exhales, looks down and says it. I need space. 3 little words. They feel harmless on the surface, but in your gut, it's like hearing the countdown of a bomb you don't know how to defuse. Because let's be brutally honest, nobody in history has ever saved a relationship by creating more distance. Space doesn't heal attraction. Space doesn't reignite desire. So why do women say it? Here's the truth. I need space is code. It's not about needing alone time. It's about power. It's about control. And it's about testing you in ways most men never see coming. The moment she utters those words, she's placing you on a chessboard you didn't know you were playing. And if you move the wrong piece, if you beg, if you panic, if you start chasing, you've already lost the game. Think about it. When a woman says, I need space, what's she really doing? She's gauging your strength. She's asking, without asking, are you the kind of man who collapses the second I pull away? Or are you the kind of man who stands solid, unshaken, because your value isn't built on my approval? Carl Jung once said, the meeting of 2 personalities is like the contact of 2 chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. But what happens when one substance withdraws? When one refuses to mix? Suddenly the other reveals its true nature. That's what I need space does. It exposes you. And most men, they fail this test. They start texting more, pleading, offering gifts, promising to change. They shrink themselves, thinking it will draw her back. But psychology shows the opposite happens. The more you chase, the more she runs. The more you cling, the more suffocated she feels. So here's what you need to understand. I need space isn't about her needing room to think. It's a coded signal. Sometimes it means, I'm losing attraction. Sometimes it means, I'm already halfway out the door. And sometimes it's a weapon, a way to see if you'll hand over your power or hold your frame like a man. This video is going to decode that weapon. We're going to unpack the psychology behind those words, reveal the hidden fears that drive women to say them, and most importantly, show you how to respond in a way that keeps your dignity, your respect, and your masculine edge intact. Because if you've ever heard, I need space, or if you're terrified you might hear it in the future, what I'm about to reveal will flip your entire perspective. When a woman says, I need space, most men take it at face value. They think, okay, she just wants time alone. Maybe she's stressed. Maybe work is overwhelming. Maybe I should give her what she asks for and everything will be fine. But here's the problem. Female psychology doesn't work like male psychology. Men often use words literally. Women, however, use words symbolically, emotionally, and strategically. On the surface, I need space sounds like a polite request. But beneath it, something much more primal is happening. Let's strip it down. First layer, attraction dynamics. Psychology shows that attraction thrives on tension, polarity, and unpredictability. When a woman says, I need space, it's often because she feels the polarity has collapsed. You've become too available, too predictable, too easy. The relationship feels suffocating, not because you're too much, but because you've lost the charge that keeps her interest alive. Think of fire. It needs oxygen to burn, but too much oxygen, the flame blows out. Too little, the flame dies. I need space is her way of saying, this fire isn't burning the way I want it to anymore. Second layer, emotional self-preservation. Women are masters of maintaining options. Evolution wired them this way. For a woman, survival historically depended on choosing the strongest, most capable protector. That instinct hasn't vanished. It's just dressed itself in modern clothes. So when she says, I need space, she's often creating room to explore other options. Sometimes consciously, sometimes unconsciously. She might be comparing you to another man, or simply wondering if she settled too soon. It's not always betrayal, but it is always evaluation. Arthur Schopenhauer once wrote, "We forfeit 3/4 of ourselves in order to be like other people." Women sense this instinctively. The moment they feel you've forfeited too much of your independence just to please them, their respect erodes. "I need space" becomes the polite dagger. "You're no longer the man I looked up to." Third layer, power and control. Let's not sugarcoat this. "I need space" is also a weapon. It shifts the frame instantly. Suddenly, she is the chooser, the one dictating terms. You are left scrambling, trying to interpret, trying to prove yourself. It puts you on the defensive, and that's exactly where most men lose all leverage. Freud argued that every human relationship is a struggle between the desire for love and the desire for power. When she says, "I need space," she's tilting the balance. If you chase, she has the power. If you hold your ground, you reclaim it. And here's the cruel twist. She may not even realize she's doing this. Female psychology often operates beneath conscious awareness. What feels to her like a simple statement is actually centuries of evolutionary wiring at play. So the real question isn't, why does she need space? The real question is, what is she testing for? Because make no mistake, every time you hear those words, you are being tested. And in the next section, we're going to break down exactly what those tests are, why they matter, and how most men fail them without even realizing it. Here's the harsh truth. "I need space" is never neutral. It's not about a woman needing time to binge Netflix or go on a yoga retreat. It's a test. And there are 3 main tests hidden in those words. Test 1, the frame test. When she says, "I need space," she's pulling the frame away from you. In that moment, she holds the pen that writes the story of the relationship. You have 2 choices. You can surrender the frame by chasing, pleading, and over-explaining, or you can hold it. Holding frame means not panicking, not collapsing into insecurity, not letting her dictate your emotional state. If she says, "I need space," and you immediately text 10 times a day asking if she's okay, you've failed. You've handed her your crown. But if you respond with calm strength, by respecting her words while not sacrificing your self-respect, you pass. Frame is everything. Men who lose it become disposable. Test 2, the attraction test. Female psychology craves polarity. If she's telling you she needs space, it often means she's no longer feeling the charge that drew her to you. She's testing whether you can reignite it. Here's the paradox. The more you try to fix it directly, the weaker you look. Attraction isn't negotiated. It's inspired. She doesn't want to hear speeches about how much you love her. She wants to feel the energy of a man who isn't shaken by her withdrawal. Think of it like gravity. You don't persuade objects to orbit you. They just do because of the force you project. If you're centered, confident, and purposeful, she feels it. If you're needy and frantic, she feels that too. Test 3, the respect test. At the core, women need to respect the man they're with. Respect isn't built on words. It's built on how you handle pressure. When she says, "I need space," she's unconsciously asking, "Can you remain the man I admired, even when I pull away?" Most men crumble here. They make desperate promises, they cry, they beg, and in that moment, her respect evaporates. Not because she's cruel, but because something deep in her biology whispers, "This man can't handle the storm." Let me give you a story. A client once told me about his girlfriend of 2 years. Out of nowhere, she said, "I need space." He panicked. He sent flowers, long messages, begged her to meet. Within a week, she broke it off. Fast forward, she started dating another man. This guy, when she tried the same line on him, he simply said, "Take all the space you need. I'll be living my life." He didn't chase, didn't crumble. And guess what? She never left him. Why? because he passed the test. Philosophers have long said that crises reveal truth. In relationships, "I need space" is that crisis. It strips away illusions and exposes who you really are. The question is, do you collapse into fear, or do you rise into strength? In the next section, we're going to break down the worst mistakes men make when they hear "I need space" and why those mistakes destroy attraction instantly. When most men hear "I need space," their entire nervous system goes into panic mode. The stomach drops, the mind races. "She's leaving me. She's found someone else. I have to fix this, or I'll lose her." And in that state of fear, they make predictable, fatal mistakes. Mistakes that guarantee she loses respect, attraction, and eventually interest. Let's break them down. Mistake 1. Begging. This is the most common reaction. The man pleads, "Please don't do this. We can work it out. I'll change." He thinks he's showing love. In reality, he's showing weakness. Remember, attraction isn't built on neediness. Begging flips the polarity. Instead of being the strong, grounded man she admired, you've become the child asking for reassurance. And here's the psychological kicker. Once she sees you beg, she can't unsee it. It plants a seed in her mind. Maybe he's not the man I thought he was. Mistake 2. Over-contacting. Texts, calls, DMs, emails, sometimes even showing up uninvited. Men convince themselves they're fighting for love, but what they're really doing is suffocating her. Every message says, "I can't exist without you." And paradoxically, the more you chase, the more she pulls away. In psychology, this is called the pursuer-distancer dynamic. The harder one person pushes, the faster the other retreats. Mistake 3. Promising to change everything. Men in panic mode will rewrite their entire personality in an instant. "I'll be different. I'll stop going out with friends. I'll spend all my time with you. Whatever you want, I'll do it." But here's the brutal truth. When you erase your own boundaries just to please her, you've already lost. A woman might tolerate it for a moment, but deep down she knows. If he's willing to abandon himself for me, he has no real strength. Schopenhauer once said, "A man can do what he wills, but he cannot will what he wills." In other words, your core can't be faked. If you abandon your essence to keep her, she feels it, and it kills attraction. Mistake 4. Angry ultimatums. Some men swing the other way. Instead of begging, they explode. "If you need space, then we're done." Or, "Go ahead and leave, I don't care." On the surface, this looks strong, but it's not real strength. It's fear wearing the mask of aggression. Real power is calm, controlled, and unshaken. Outbursts signal insecurity just as much as begging does. Mistake 5. Waiting in limbo forever. The final trap is passivity, agreeing to give her space, but then putting your life on hold. Weeks, even months, of waiting by the phone, living in emotional purgatory. This is the slowest, most painful death of all, because while you're frozen in place, she's moving on. And by the time she decides what she wants, you've already trained her to see you as optional. Men, these mistakes aren't random, they're instinctive. When threatened with loss, the male brain scrambles for control. But relationships don't reward panic, they reward strength. In the next section, I'll reveal the right way to respond when a woman says, "I need space," a response rooted in psychology, philosophy, and masculine power. Because here's the truth, you can't stop her from testing you, but you can decide whether you pass or fail. When she says, "I need space," most men lose their compass. Here's the hard, unglamorous truth. The right response is not more words. It's fewer, but stronger. It's not drama, it's dignity. It's not pleading for a future, it's living one now. Below are the 5 brutal, non-negotiable moves that pass the tests she's throwing at you. These are not manipulation tricks. They're boundary-based strategies that restore polarity, demand respect, and put you back in the role you should have been playing all along. A man who governs his inner world, not one who begs for approval. 1. Acknowledge, then shut the gate. Say one line, then stop talking. Exact script. Use it like a scalpel, not a sermon. I hear you. Take the space you need. I'll be here living my life. That's it. No analysis, no explanations, no promises. You just signaled respect for her words while establishing you won't collapse. This preserves your frame. It removes the drama. Say it once and mean it. 2. Reinvest in your life immediately. Space isn't emotional vacuum. It's a spotlight. The moment she withdraws, she's watching to see if you implode or thrive. So do the thing most men forget. Live. Double down on work, friends, hobbies, training, your mission. Go to the gym like your clarity depends on it. It does. Pick up a book that scares you. Call your mates. Real life is magnetic. Desperation is repulsive. Imagine your value as a crown. When she says, I need space, don't kneel to polish it. Wear it. Let her watch you walk through the room with it on. 3. Respect boundaries, but set them too. Space isn't a permission slip to ghost you forever. Clarify a simple timeline in a calm way if she presses for it, or after a week of silence. If she refuses any timeline and disappears into endless vagueness, that's her choice, not your limbo. Men who wait indefinitely become options. Men who set dates become prospects. 4. No begging. No furious ultimatums, no panting texts. Begging lowers your value. Explosions lower your value. Passive waiting lowers your value. These are 3 different colors of the same poison. You either hold steady or you don't. Holding steady is hard because it demands you control your animal brain. That's why most men fail. That's why most men lose her. 5. Use scarcity as demonstration, not manipulation. Scarcity isn't about playing games. It's about respecting your own time and your own life. If she's gone radio silent for 2 weeks and makes no effort, your actions should reflect your standards. Constant pursuit is not. Men with standards are rare, and rare is desirable. You're not trying to win her back by tricks. You're trying to become the man who is worth returning to. That transformation is both the defense and the offense. Men, let me ask you this. When a king leaves the throne room, does he chase after every subject who whispers behind his back? No. He sits higher, he grows stronger, and he lets the world come to him. That is how you must handle I need space. Most men react like slaves, not kings. She withdraws and they scramble, typing paragraphs, flooding her phone, standing at her door with flowers. They become jesters dancing for approval, when what she's really testing is whether you'll keep your crown. And here's the brutal twist. She doesn't want to hear you explain. She wants to feel your gravity. Gravity doesn't argue. It doesn't beg. It doesn't chase. It simply pulls. When she says, I need space, the worst thing you can do is orbit her like a desperate satellite. The best thing you can do? Become the planet. Rooted, massive, unshakable. The kind of man who commands her attention without lifting a finger. Think about silence. Most men fear it. Silence feels like death, but in reality, silence is oxygen. It creates tension. It forces her to confront the emptiness she expected you to fill. You want a practical weapon? Here it is. Silence. When she retreats, don't smother the gap with words. Let it breathe. Let her feel the cold. Because women don't just test with words, they test with absence. And the man who thrives in absence, that's the man she can't forget. Now let's talk about scarcity. Scarcity isn't pretending you don't care. Scarcity is reality. You are scarce because you're rare. Rare in your discipline. Rare in your ambition. Rare in your refusal to bend like every other man who crumbles when she whispers those 3 words. When she says, I need space, you don't freeze in limbo like a dog waiting at the door. you expand, you live, you sharpen, you become more magnetic than you were yesterday. That way, if she drifts back, she's not returning to the same man she left. She's returning to a stronger, harder, more untouchable version. And if she doesn't return, good, because your life was never built to orbit around one woman's emotions. Freud said every relationship is a tug-of-war between love and power. When she says, "I need space," she's pulling the rope. The question is, do you stumble forward into her arms, desperate to be chosen? Or do you plant your feet so deep in the ground that she feels the tension in her bones? This isn't about games. It's about survival, masculine survival. Either you master silence and scarcity, or you become another man gutted by those three little words. When a woman says, "I need space," you are standing at a crossroads. On one side, the path most men take: panic, begging, waiting in purgatory for a text that never comes. They lose themselves, they lose respect, and eventually, they lose her. On the other side, the harder path, the path of silence, scarcity, and self-respect. The path where you don't chase after a retreating shadow. You stand still, like a mountain, until the storm passes or until she disappears for good. And either way, you remain whole. Here's the truth most men refuse to accept. Women don't respect men who collapse. They can love you, they can desire you, but if they cannot respect you, they cannot stay with you. Respect is oxygen. Without it, the fire dies. When she says, "I need space," it is the ultimate respect test. Not in what you say, but in what you do. If you crumble, you've taught her she can pull the strings whenever she wants. If you hold steady, you've shown her the one thing she fears and desires most in a man: a backbone. So here's the challenge. The next time you hear those three words, "I need space," I want you to pause. Don't react. Don't explain. Don't beg. Let those words hang in the air, heavy, while you breathe and remember this. She is not your lifeline. You are your lifeline. Stand tall, nod once, and in the silence that follows, let her feel the gravity of a man who refuses to be ruled by fear. Because at the end of the day, it's not about whether she comes back. It's about whether you can look in the mirror and say, "I didn't fold. I didn't grovel. I stood as a man, and now I'm turning it back on you." Are you going to stay the man who panics at the first sign of rejection? Or are you going to sharpen yourself into a man who can't be shaken by three little words? Because women will keep testing, society will keep testing, life will keep testing. The only question is, will you pass? If you're ready to rise above these games, if you're ready to decode more of the hidden psychology of women, power, and modern relationships, then hit that like button, subscribe, and share this with another brother who needs to hear it. This isn't just a channel, it's a movement, a place where men reclaim their edge, their respect, and their strength. Now it's your move.